You've ever had a moment where you felt overwhelmed, exhausted, and like you were carrying more around than you realized, you were not alone. And today I want to talk about that, not from a place of fear, but from a place of honesty, compassion, and hope. This is the Michael Experience Podcast, and these are my thoughts, my life, my way. Let's talk about the pressures because they are the never ending thing that just keep on coming, right? Life is already so heavy. And then there's the pressures that we carry on top of it. But I want you to know that your life matters. Your life matters. And I want to make sure that we are doing a wonderful job of diving into what that looks like, what it feels like, and how do we do some interrupters of that? Because I do believe that the pressure in life can lead us to do some things that lead us to do some other things sometime or whatever it could be, right? But I want to make sure that we are doing justice talking about those things, especially for Mental Health Awareness Month. So let's talk about the pressures of it all, right? The things that I feel like are the unspoken, invisible elephant in the room. The pressure to be successful. That is probably one of the biggest things that weighs on each one of us. It's the dream. It is what we are taught. We are taught to go to school. We're taught to get the job. We want to strive to the millions. We never want to stop working. That is the thing. Always keep moving. And that sounds great when you're at a pep rally. It sounds great when you are talking to a bunch of unmotivated youth and you're trying to get them to see the world in a more responsible way. All of that sounds really great, but when you put it into practice, it's like the when you're trying to juggle multiple plates in the air and they're so fragile in what they are and you don't want to break them and you just keep on adding more and keep adding more. You never get to use the plates for what they are intended for, but you add more weight and more pressure to the situation. The pressure to be successful will have people mistreating themselves, not getting enough sleep, eating the wrong things because they want a quick fix, not taking the time to assess mental, emotional, and physical health. How many times in the pursuit of career and money and success and achievements and accolades have you not gone to the doctor for something? I think men are definitely in that number. I do my best to get to the doctor. I do. I go regularly, but I'm telling you, there are some times when I'm like, "Oh, I gotta go to work," and then I'm like, "No, I need to go to the doctor because I need if something is wrong with me, right, that is going to impact the way that I live the rest of my life, or if I can live, and what that looks like for the rest of my life. I need to figure that out now and intercede and intervene." But the pressure to be successful will have us throwing that out the window and not thinking about ourselves in any real way. And we've got to do a better job. We've got to do a better job. Let's talk about the pressure to be strong for others, right? That shows up a lot of times, especially with grief. Especially with grief. We do this thing where it's like, don't show face. Don't cry. Don't melt down because if you melt down, everybody around you is gonna melt down. Why do we do that? Why do we do that? The pressure to be perfect, the pressure to always be on. Oh my God, that pressure to always be on for me, that one hits very deep because I didn't realize the impact that it was having on my identity and how I showed up in the room. I did not realize it, how I felt in the room, not how I made everybody else feel. It's like I am mentally drained and emotionally spent. And yet, lights, camera, happen, stage, presence, go on your marks. And here I am. Hello, everybody. And I'm showing up and putting on that face for everybody else. But deep down inside, I really, really, really want to fall apart, but always be on, always show strength, all of those things. Why? Why do we pressure ourselves in that way? And then once we realize we've pretended for so long, you arrived like I did at a place where I was like, I don't even know who I am anymore, right? I had been doing that thing for so long. I was like, how much of this is me and how much of this is just a persona that I took on? How much? I didn't know, but it was work that I had to uncover. But these are the pressures. These are the pressures that we don't talk about. Among other pressures, right, is the pressure to bounce back quickly. I remember when I needed to take a leave because I needed to physically get myself together. Medically, I had been on depression, anxiety medication. And I said, I don't want to be on this anymore. This was supposed to be a short term solution to get me over the hump because I was growing in my career. It was supposed to be just a slight intermission, for me or intercessor, excuse me. For me, the medication was just supposed to be a slight intercessor to help me get to my next point. It ended up being a regimen that grew over 3 years. And then I woke up one morning and I looked at my nightstand and there was like 5 or 6 pill bottles there. And I said, my God, this is not my life. And it cannot be my life. If it is my life, it can no longer be my life. And so I put in for a leave at work and I reluctantly did that. I was like, I can do it all. I can do it all. I can do it all. I was like, I can do it all and I can do it all at the same time. Yeah, no. Because what happens is more pressure, more pressure, more pressure. People want you to do more. They want you to interact more. They want to see more of you. So I was like, yeah, no. No, 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 no. I can't do that. And then the pressure to be okay. The pressure to excuse me, pretend that you are okay. Back to what I talked about in the last episode, those empty salutations. Hey, how are you? And the expectation is to say, I'm okay. And if you say anything other than that, it's kind of like, oh, well, I didn't come here for all that. I didn't think this was going to turn into a 20 or 30-minute conversation. Have you ever experienced that? Has somebody done it to you, or have you done that to somebody? That is one of the most dampening feelings because it's like, oh, for some people who want to be honest and who want to let it out, it's like, oh, I wasn't supposed to do that. But there is such a pressure that when you get those things, how are you doing? How's life going? Either people will braze right past it and act like you didn't say what you said, or they'll respond with a look of shock and like, that is not what you were supposed to say. That is not what you were supposed to say. But when I say, I went on that leave, there was a pressure for me to bounce back quickly. Now, no one said anything to me. All of my coworkers were supportive. My boss was even supportive. Take all the time you need. And I do believe that she meant it. But there was somebody somewhere that was like, listen, okay, I'm counting down the days. I'm counting down the days, right? But not even just from a coworker perspective, like family, friends. When I said, y'all, I need this time, this is going to be a doozy. It's going to be a doozy for me because medications that were meant to alter um my mood are now going to be exiting my body, and I don't know what that's going to look like as it levels out, as I tear down off of these things. I don't know what that's going to look like. I don't know what physically my body is going to do coming off of this thing, because prior to that I've been one of those that, like, I don't want to take any painkillers or anything. And so now that I'm in that space, I'm like, okay, what are we doing? What are we doing? You know? But even like I said, within that, there would be people that would reach out and they'd be like, please say you're okay. So I don't have to, you ever been rushed off the phone with somebody because they just want to be like, let me just check the box and call. I do care, but not enough to sit. All right, okay, well, I just was calling. Goodbye. There are those people, right? They want you to pretend like you're okay. And it's not that it's ill intended. It's just it's uncomfortable for some people. It's uncomfortable for us experiencing it too, right? Because we know what it is more often than not. But the pressure, the pressure, the pressure, the pressure. We have to stop masking. right? I think the thing that really silently builds exhaustion, and what silently builds resentment, silently becomes depression or deeper depression and anxiety, is that we just let them build. We let these things build up. We know it, and we kind of, our eye twitches a little bit. I always tell people I got a little twitch in my eye. My left eye will start twitching, and we're like, it's fine, it's fine. I'll put a couple of ice on it or something, you know. And we keep going, and we let it build, and we let it build, and we let it build, and we say we're okay, and we say we're doing good. Oh, we're doing much better. Much better. I'm much better. Yes, I will be back to myself in no time. We've got to stop masking in that way and just be honest with it. Listen, I know you don't want to hear this, but I am not okay. And I don't know when I will be okay. And I got very comfortable in my journey saying, I don't know how I feel right now, but what I do know is that I can feel right now. I feel something physically. And so I'm going to keep on going until I can make heads or tails of what is happening in my life, you know. And going back to what I said, the myth of being fine. Fine, I'm fine, I'm fine. And then the other people, they're fine. They're fine. They're fine. Where does that come from? Where does that come from? The truth is, I'm an isolator. I have been an isolator, and I'm working on that, right? Because you can't get help when you're hiding things. And so I hid my pain from people, and I didn't say how torn up I was about my ex. I was torn up. Sometimes I'd be tearful. Sometimes I would be off into a corner by myself staring into the great unknown. But to other people, they were just like, "Oh, you okay? Like, you really haven't said anything. I can't tell what's going on." And then they'll go, okay, they'll jump back in their thing. Oh, okay, well, you must be all right. Right. They'll say it within themselves. Some people may say it to you, and they're like, okay. And they'll revert back to that other thing, right? Wanting you to, the pressure to pretend that you're okay. They're like, okay, I just, please say you're okay. Please say okay. And if they don't, okay, I'm just gonna keep it brief. But I hid my pain because part of me didn't want everybody to know my business. Part of it was I didn't want people to know my business. There were people that understood what happened after my breakup. I'll stay with that. People understood what happened, you know what I mean? Because I talk about it. But the funny thing is, I would make very light of being cheated on. I'm like, oh, he cheated on me with his best friend. And it is my personality to be comedic. But what I didn't understand was that what that did for other people is minimized what was happening to me, because they were like, he was joking about it, so it must be fine. And all the while, I was thinking to myself, this was the man that I was supposed to marry. This is the man that got me thinking about marriage, because I was okay with partnerships, and that just being it. But this is the man that got me to think about it. And here I am saying, oh, he just cheated on me with his boyfriend. Child, I sent him on his way. And there is some truth to that, right? Go be happy, go do your thing. But multiple things can exist at the same time. I was deeply hurt. I was deeply hurt. I was deeply affected, trying to figure out, what does this look like going forward? Was this a one-off with him? And will I want to be married after? I had to figure out all these things at that particular moment. But that I'm fine thing just kept showing up. And there would be times where I would just cry to myself, and I'd be like, I don't want anybody to see me cry. I don't want anybody to see me cry. And the thing about seeing me cry, I don't even know where that came from. I don't know where it came from. And I find myself in moments where I'm feeling something and I want to cry. I find myself wanting to quickly grab a tissue and, dry it up before it reaches the bottom of my jawline. And I had to ask myself one day, Michael, you are a crier. You cry. You cry at the dog movies. You cry when, the underdog comes back at the end and does a 360. You cry at things like that, and there's nothing wrong with crying. So why is it that you don't want people to know or see that you cry? What is wrong with it? It is perfectly human. It's something that we've all done. It was our first language. It was our first language. And so I had to figure out, why is it that I want to hide this thing? What is it about crying that makes me feel like I shouldn't show that? I don't know what that was. I can't tell you what it was. I don't know if it was the fear of being judged. I don't know if it was the fear of being misunderstood. I don't know if it's that I thought vulnerability is a weakness. You know what? I've always struggled with vulnerability. I've always struggled with vulnerability. So in this moment, mm, wow, it may be tied to that, feeling like vulnerability is weakness and therefore crying may be a weakness. Here's my thing with vulnerability. I've always known that vulnerability is very powerful because, as I've said before, it is really opening up those deepest, those most sacred parts of your heart that you have guarded and defended because you simply had to. Because you simply had to. Because in the hands and in the minds of the wrong people, it could be devastation. And so I always protected my vulnerability because I knew how valuable it was. I was like, if I give this love and this openness and this, veracity, if I give all of this stuff to the wrong person, they can use it against me. And then what will I become? I think there was always a fear about that vulnerability seeping in. And I don't know, maybe that's tied to the tears, but I'm gonna explore that somewhere down the line because that could be something that is very deep. But for whatever reason, for right now, think about why you don't want people to see you cry, and what does that mean? Did somebody in your family along your journey say to you, like, don't cry in front of anybody, don't let them see you sweat, don't let anybody see you cry because then they'll know they got you? I know those things exist. I always told my daughter to go. My daughter was a crybaby. Now she'll cry at the drop of a hat. All right. So I used to tell her, now don't just be crying about anything, young lady, because some people will use tears as a tactic. And that's not okay. But don't be afraid to cry if something is really moving you and something is really, churning inside you. Don't be afraid to cry. It is a very natural thing to do. It's a release of energy, and you should do it. You should do it. But it doesn't take away the very real internal things that happen when you think about crying and why. So that's one of mine. That is one of mine. Today, I'm a little bit better at crying. I don't necessarily want to melt down in front of people, but if I do, I'm just living life. I am just living. The other thing I want to touch on with vulnerability is how we are in this very social driven climate, this social media climate. And I know that there are a lot of people who say that social media and technology is going to be the downfall of us people. But I believe that everything has duality, as it should, to create balance. And I do believe that oftentimes the things that are not as progressive and the things that are not as developmentally sound are the things that get put out into the atmosphere, unfortunately. And what I will say is social media can be a powerful way to build community. Lord knows I've built mine on social media at a time where I didn't know if that would even be possible for me, as somebody who is pushing 40. I'm almost 40. And so I didn't think, especially when TikTok came around, I was like, oh my goodness, it's been so long since I've been on social media. Nobody uses Facebook anymore. It's been at least 2 years since I have done anything live on camera. I don't even know how to work this stuff. There's just so much that I thought about. And I said to myself, I don't know that you could do this. However, something in me said, I think there are people that feel the way that you feel. And I think there are people that can benefit from your experience and your voice. And so I said, well, inner God light, inner God voice, let me just prove you wrong. And so I went my butt right on over to TikTok and I created, I created a new account. I had a separate account. I created a new account and I said, okay, let me get on here and see what's going on. And I would post just little thoughts, like little random moments I called Michael moments. At some point I started posting old clips of my LGT stuff just to see if there was any interest in what I was talking about at that time. And then I said, if they bite off of some of this, then maybe I'll go ahead and do some new stuff. Well, fate would have it, people gravitated towards it. And as a person with no followers, having 400 or 500 views on a video within a few days was quite miraculous. I was like, oh my goodness. And they were short videos. You could only do about 5, 7 minutes at that particular time a few years back. And so I said, oh crap, there's something to it. And I never really put a bunch of energy into it. I didn't. I would post here and there, then I'd work, I'd post here and there, and then I'd come back. But I started noticing the growth in the community and the people that were commenting and DMing, and I was like, "Oh my goodness. I think there is a need for my voice, but okay, I don't know what to do with it. I don't know what to do." And something just said, "Be yourself." That has always worked for you. Be yourself. And so I posted some more and I said, well, can I get to live? Because all of this clipping and cutting is really not my thing, and editing. I don't want to learn this right now. I don't have the time to learn this right now. And so I did those things or whatever. The community grew and I was able to have live conversations. And I was like, whoa, 700 followers. They said, you are able to go live now. I said, oh God, thank you. I do much better when I'm doing a live conversation. I really do. And the energy that is traded is it makes all the difference. I went into it thinking that I was going to put something out there and get some things off of my chest and stuff like that. I had no idea the community that would come from it, this Michael experience community. I had no idea the amount of people who, when I did go missing in action, kind of like now, that reached out to say, I hope you're okay. I want to let you know that you are missed. Take whatever time you need. I don't know if you're on a hiatus. I don't know what I missed, but whatever. Because I've been honest. There was a point where I had to tell people on social media, like, I need to take some time because I'm showing up here every day for hours a day. And I don't know if all of this is me. I don't know if all of this is me. But what I will tell you about social media is that you can build community there and you can build a group of a community and a family of people who commune and who connect, and you guys are able to cook together, eat together, sing together, dance together, as I have on TikTok. I never would have thought that I would be holding concerts on TikTok, but less I was on TikTok, doing sexy Saturdays and sexy Sundays or soulful Sundays, doing sing-alongs, and the joy that it brings people. So social media can be a great place for you to build community. However, social media can also amplify the need for comparison and shame. It can amplify comparison and shame. Body image is such a big thing now. Body image is everything. Once upon a time, it was like be skinny. If you're skinny, that's it. The thing now is to have, for women, the voluptuous, enhanced, curvy bodies, the perfect figure. I don't even think it's a figure eight anymore, the way they look. I don't know. It's like a double hourglass or something of the sort. But there's a need for all of the primp and prosthetic, and men too, in the face and stuff like that. And when it comes to men, the more muscle bound, the more bulky the muscles are, and he's sitting up like a stallion. All of that has infiltrated, not just the minds of people, but the beings of and the identities of, right? And they have become a very big thing. People are leading with their bodies now, body image. My face card, my body card, that ain't my old body, this the new body. Very much so different than before, but equally, harmful effects sometimes if taken the wrong way. And so when we talk about comparison and shame, those that don't, the haves and the have nots, those that are the have nots oftentimes can compare and struggle. And it just is what it is at the end of the day. And I'm going to be very honest and transparent and vulnerable. That is what I'm working on. There was a time, right? And this is recent. This is in recent history for me. But when I was going through my depression, I was 270 pounds. So the person that sits before you today, right? I am in the best shape of my life. Now, most of my adult life, I've been skinny, right? The thing that people told us to be back in the day, just be skinny, be runway skinny. 165, I'm 6'2". 6'1". Where did I get 6'2" from? Lord, am I growing an inch? My mind is for sure. But 6'1". And so that's thin. Even at this, what you see here, this is 180 pounds. This is thin to some people, but to me, I love the way this looks. I love the way this looks. I'm like, this is absolutely wonderful. Tone me up a little bit in the midsection. I'm good to go. But when I was 270 pounds, right? So almost 100 pounds ago, I didn't feel like myself. And when I started thinking about what I needed to do, I was like, I know I need to lose weight because I've never been this big. But I also said, well, what does that look like for me? Because I'm much older now. And am I trying to get back to that thing or am I trying to get to this new thing? And what I came up with was that I would just explore. That was my thing, right? I didn't intend to compare necessarily. I just wanted to see some examples, and I didn't think it would lead me to judging myself harshly. I didn't think it would do any of that. But I started looking at, see, that's the downside, right? I wasn't on social media. I wasn't into the things. And then when I get on here and I'm building community and doing the things, some of the other stuff spills over. You see the other things, you're like, well, let me use it for that. And that's what happened. I started looking at all these men that are and women that are consumed with their body and enhancing and doing the things. And there's nothing wrong with it, whatever you do. Whatever makes you feel happy, whatever makes you feel complete. Listen, I'm all for it. So don't think that this is a conversation that is demeaning towards any of that. Because as a person who didn't work out before, who was like, I'm not working out. I don't know why I didn't have a negative relationship with working out. I just was like, probably stuff that I heard subconsciously. But I work out 6 days a week, right? As a matter of fact, I'm going to work out here in the next hour, probably the next 2 hours. I got to get me a pre workout snack in. But um, I wouldn't have never done that before. So health, fitness, even the way that I eat, everything is much different. So I'm not, downing changing your lifestyle in that way in the health and fitness arena. Not at all. But I'm also equally not downing anyone that enhances their lips, their face, the fillers, the Botox. I'm not doing that either. Whatever makes you feel whole and whatever makes you fulfilled, do that. There's nothing wrong with it. It's about you and how you view yourself and how you feel about yourself every day. But comparison will have you looking at somebody else's journey and trying to copy and paste it. And that happened to me. I saw these men's bodies and I was like, ooh, now that's nice or whatever. But maybe I should try that. And then I would see somebody else, and then I'm like, "Ooh, well, he's shaped much different. I've never seen somebody. Maybe that's it." And then I looked at somebody else, and I was like, "Oh my God, you were chiseled by the hands of God. Like you had to be." How does one do that? And so what started as admiration for me really became comparison. So then I'm looking in the mirror like, oh Lord, I got love handles right there. And I'm like, well, I'm more shapely than most of these men. I have more hips and I'm wide. I'm like, oh Lord. So the spirit of comparison just really started coming in. Right? Now the shame part for me wasn't very big, but I will say that there was a point when I said at first I want to lose weight. I looked in the mirror and I was like, Who is that? Is that Shamu? Who is that in the mirror? And I knew I had to do something, like that old commercial. I knew I had to do something, but I didn't have an immense amount of shame. I knew life had taken me where I was supposed to go. But this is where you can normalize the truth. And that is why I wanted to talk about it. Everyone struggles. Even the people who look like they're very well put together, everybody struggles with something. I remember doing a quick moment early on about how I had talked to some of the most beautiful men that I have seen on social media and how a lot of them felt inadequate. And a lot of them had low self esteem or self esteem issues. Now, I think I'm a pretty decent looking guy. I ain't gonna win no beauty pageant. And I say that in all honesty and really it doesn't listen, I mean that in no way other than I ain't gonna win no beauty pageant. Okay. Maybe a local or something, but you get where I'm going with it, right? But these were men that I thought could win a beauty pageant, perfect symmetry, just everything appeared to be in what the standards were. And so I was like, "Oh my goodness. You all go through things too, and then pretty privilege. And then, last year somebody said there was a such thing as pretty punishment." And I was like, a whole new world of things just opened up to make me realize that everyone struggles with something. Just as if people think I have my life together and I never go through nothing, never had a hard day's work. Gotcha. The things I would tell you about my life and have told people about my life, you would never imagine by the way that I look. Never. So let's just normalize the truth. The truth is what it is. Everybody struggles. Everybody struggles. I want to shift this conversation a bit and talk about what it looks like when a person is truly overwhelmed. What does it look like? Right? What does it feel like for that person? It can feel like hopelessness. It could be a person feeling like they're a burden on people. Ugh, I can't do anything right. I look like this. I'm not good at that like everybody else. What am I here for? People can feel disconnected. I don't have a tribe. I don't fit in anywhere. Nobody really wants to be my friend. Are people laughing with me or laughing at me? Feeling like they're done with life. Feeling like they are done with life. I have to be honest. There have been so many moments where I've been, I've been in thought of like, damn, is there a break button? Is there a pause button? And those are the days where I wanted to just sleep for a week straight, a month probably. I was like, if I could just sleep for a full week, right, and just wake up, I don't know what I would feel, but it would have to feel better than this. And it can extend further than that, but I have definitely been exhausted with life, overwhelmed to the point of like, I just want to throw my hands up. I don't know what else to give it. I've given it all that I can give it. And of course, feeling like you're carrying everything alone. That loneliness factor, boy, that infiltrates every part of your life, especially when you feel like you are falling apart. Boy, that being alone, eh, some of it is isolation, but some of it is truly that you have people around you, and the conversations and the relationships are surface level at best. These are emotional states that people experience, right? And I wanted to name them because I believe putting a name to that stuff helps reduce the stigma. Hopelessness, feeling like a burden, feeling disconnected, feeling exhausted, feeling like you're carrying everything alone, right? I think it reduces the stigma of, that you're the only people that feel that way, done with life, right? without describing self-harm or anything like that, these are the things that show up. And I think it's important to give light to them and to give space for them so that we all recognize when it's happening in ourselves and somebody else. The next thing is the power of reaching out. The power of reaching out is so valuable. It is so valuable. When I think about all of the times that I was going through something and either I wanted to reach out or I wanted somebody to reach out to me, I kept thinking there's a difference this outreach can make. There's a difference. And when I recognized that for myself, I thought about all of the other people who feel the same way, who hesitate to reach out, or the people who have there's hesitated to reach out on both sides, right? As a person going through it, but as a person who saw something, maybe you saw some of those signs I talked about, right? And you didn't say anything, but there's just so much power in reaching out. Sometimes that person saying, hey, 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 hi. Sometimes that small but deeply meaningful gesture can go a long way. It can be the catalyst for somebody finally opening up about something that they have been carrying and that has been intensifying in themselves for so long. I will never forget somebody calling me and being like, hey, and I was like, hey, and my friend said, go for it. And I'm telling you, there was just this emotional just floodgate that opened, and I was like, "Oh my god, I just have been going through so much and I didn't want to say anything and I just everything that I felt, right? Hopeless, like a burden, disconnected, exhausted with life, carrying everything alone, I let it out. And that person was there to receive it. Now, I don't know what he was thinking after I let it out, but I know he was there to receive it. And I remember feeling so good after, but I also was like, okay, now that I've let it out and now that you've been able to catch all of it, what do we do in this moment? Because he didn't have the words, not all of them anyway, but the words that he did have were so important. And it was just, I'm here. Power of reaching out is is super, super important. The power of reaching out is super important and super impactful. So, if there's a family member, if there is a friend, if there is a mentor, if there is someone that you have wanted to confide in that has created a space for you, right? Or maybe there's somebody that you want to do those things for. This is your opportunity to reach out and just say, I'm here. No judgments, no bold proclamations or anything, just true support, just showing up and just letting someone know you are important, you are not invisible, you are not beyond help, you are not a lost cause, and you matter. And you are not always going to be going through the same thing. Because here's the thing, these pressures, these woes of life, they're temporary. And I know that temporary can feel like a long time. It can feel like an indefinite occurrence of a nightmare. But the pressures are temporary. The way you feel in this exact moment will change in the next moment. And as I contend, you need to do this. You can only do this one day at a time. 1 minute, 1 hour, 1 day at a time, because your circumstances, they can always change. They can always change, right? You can replace them, you can interchange them, all of those things. But your life is irreplaceable. Your life is irreplaceable. So I want to leave you with this. If you are listening to this podcast right now and everything in your life just feels so heavy, I want you to hear me. Your story isn't over. You matter. Your presence matter. The world is absolutely different because you are in it. Pressure can make you feel small, but it does not have to define you. You don't have to carry everything alone. And there are people who want to support you, people who care, people who would rather hear your truth than assume that you are okay. If it feels heavy right now, if it feels heavy right now, you feel like you can't breathe, your shoulders are tight, and you just don't know which way to go, take a breath, slow down, and reach out to someone that you trust. Somebody, anybody that you can trust. You deserve compassion. You deserve support. You deserve care. And it's not because you had to earn it, it's because you're human. And like I said, one day at a time, you are still here. And that matters more than you know. Okay. So love on yourself. Love on yourself. Fill your emotional cup. Find and create that space that you can go to when the world just seems all too heavy. Okay. And I will see you all on the next one. All right. This has been the Michael Experience Podcast. And I thank you so much for the time and the patience and the resilience that we've shared today in this episode. All right. And I'll see you on the next one. Peace and love, y'all.